So it's recording now, so you can do your questions.
Okay.
So I'm going to go while you do your questions.
Yeah. Because I feel silly enough. So that was Beaker. Oh, hi everyone, welcome back. And firstly, my apologies that it's taken me so long to get around to answering these questions that people submitted when I did a shout out on social media last time. I'm not even going to look up how long ago that was because I know it was a while, but it's not because I haven't wanted to answer them, it's just simply because there's been other video opportunities kind of crop up and I've felt like I just needed to roll with those first. So now I'm finally getting around to answering some of those questions. So first question I have is, how did you get started on guitar and how old were you? So properly started on guitar, I was 14. Now why I say properly is because like a lot of kids, I did drag around a kind of guitar. I now know that like it was broken and would have needed a lot of work to actually get that guitar functioning. But like when I was around 4 years old, I used to drag that around and strum it and make up songs and share with my family and my toys and give little concerts and stuff. But I didn't get to properly start learning guitar until I was 14. And I had the opportunity through high school and their music program to learn guitar. And it's the instrument that I always felt an affinity with and always dreamed of learning. So when I had my very first job, paying job, then I was able to save up and I was getting like $4 or $4.50 an hour, I might add. So it took me a while, but I finally saved up enough money and I went out and bought my very first guitar, an electric guitar and a little amplifier and that kind of package that a lot of people get, and just I was lucky enough that I picked it up relatively quickly. I might add that in high school, like there was multiple instruments and they obviously wanted us to collaborate, and I had been playing piano since I was 10 years old, so they automatically were like, oh, do you want to play like keyboard or something like that? And I'm like, no, I've always wanted to learn to play guitar, please let me learn. So my music teacher was nice enough he gave me this like chord chart of your basic open chords, and he's like, okay, go away, and if you can learn these within a week, then we'll look at putting you on guitar. And of course I practiced so hard, and within a week I was getting those chords, no changes yet, but I was getting those chords. So yeah, that's how I got started on guitar. That's how old I was, and yeah, I'll never ever stop learning this amazing instrument for the rest of my life. Okay, next question was, how did you get started gigging? All right, good question. So, oh, wow, this is kind of a convoluted one because it depends what you meant. If you meant as a solo artist or just performing in general and gigging. So I'll try and make the storyline as brief as possible, but still hopefully answer that question no matter where it was coming from. So through high school, we had bands form and we had the opportunity to perform at the Blues at Bridgetown Festival as part of our music program. So that was where my first performances started, and within high school was where I actually joined my very first band as well, an all-girl rock band called Slivered, which is Devils backwards rock. And yeah, from there, so we were doing a little bit of gigging, but then there was this like massive reprieve when the band sadly broke up because we were all quite young. We were like 16, I think, the oldest. And you know, one went to school 8 hours away, another went to school 2 hours away, and then the last two of us went to the same school, but we were just too spread out to keep going. So then as my solo career, I was still songwriting and still dabbling because that's my passion. And occasionally, like people in town, being a small community, they knew of me as a musician, and occasionally there'd be like these little events crop up and they'd be like, oh, we need a musician. You should ask Tracey. Tracey might be able to do it. And I would just do those gigs on my own, me and a guitar, because I didn't have a band and I was still waiting to find a band. And those opportunities kind of like were scattered here and there. And then I guess the big push was in 2008. One of my friends convinced me to busk at the Blues at Bridgetown Festival outside a shop that I had at the time. And I just had my vocals running through one amplifier and my guitar through another amplifier, because that's all I had was a couple of amps and thankfully a nice acoustic guitar by then. And I just had this amazing experience, like where this crowd of people gathered and they really liked it, and they were throwing money in my case and they just were coming up and thanking me, and it was just this really beautiful experience. And afterwards I had a little gig at the festival, or another spot, and I went there, and this musician who was from Margaret River, he came over and he's like, man, nice work before. I caught your set on the street and I really like it. I'm like, oh, thank you very much. And he's like, oh, would you be interested in opening for a few of my shows? And I'm like, kind of dumbstruck, but I was like, hell yeah, I think so. Am I good enough for that? Can I do it? And he's like, yeah, we'll start off with a few gigs in Margaret River and we'll see from there. So my very first gig out of town, excuse my chair, by the way. My very first gig out of town was at Settlers Tavern in Margaret River, opening for this artist. And I remember like I had an actual panic attack, like proper hyperventilating, head spinning, going to pass out panic attack, and locked myself in the car and said to my then boyfriend, now partner, there's no way I can do it. And he coaxed me out of the car and he said like, at the least, if you do go up there and make a fool of yourself, you are probably never going to see any of these people again, so what does it matter? And like, that actually helped a great deal. I was like, this is kind of true. So really, I've got this free pass to just get up, have a go, see what happens, see if this is something I want to do and can do, or if it doesn't go well, hopefully, yeah, I never see these people again. And yeah, I played that set and it was amazing. Again, such an incredible response from the audiences. Even had the venue come up and said like, are you interested in doing your own set? And that kind of kept happening. So I kept opening for a few of his shows around the southwest and up towards the Peel region. If you're not sure, maybe look up a map of WA, as I'm maybe talking about areas that you're not familiar with. But basically, localish areas I was opening for his shows, and more venues were stepping forward and saying, we would love to have you back to do your own show. Are you interested? And over that year, I'd kind of built up a repertoire of a good 3-hour set of songs. So I started playing my own, and from there it just kind of got better and busier, and I worked my own connections. So a lot of it was word of mouth, I guess. Perhaps whoever asked this question was because you're interested in getting started gigging. So that is a good way, is to start by opening for other acts or open mics. I didn't have any open mics in this area because I'm very rural, but certainly that's a great place to not only kind of clean up your chops, but and get used to performing in front of an audience, but also to connect with other musicians and other venues, and you'll be surprised who crops up at open mic sessions. So for sure, get on them. And yeah, I just kind of took any opportunity I had. So in the beginning, there was a lot that I played for free, just to try and get my name out there, and I knew I needed experience as well. And yeah, I feel like I'm not giving much advice here, but if there's something more specific that you need to know about gigging, then please contact me. I'll put my email address in the description below, but you can always just message in the comments, or direct message me on social media as well, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. But yeah, that's basically it. It's just this, for me, it was this organic build from doing free stuff and busking, to then opening for this artist, to then opening for other artists when opportunities arose, and mixing in with doing my own shows. And from there, like, it's just kind of built over time. And yes, I did and still do approach venues, particularly when I'm branching out to a new area. Then I will email a venue, or phone them, and actually introduce myself and my music, and send them like an electronic press kit to have a look at. Yeah, I guess I don't want to ramble on too much more about that in case I'm boring some other people, but again, if there's a specific question that you want to know about gigging and getting started, then please, by all means, give me a shout out and I will get back to you as soon as I can. Alright, next question was, I've got 2 more questions by the way for this session. Next one is, what is your writing process, and have you ever had to deal with writer's block? Wow, that's it. Good question, huge question. Writing process. That actually kind of varies for me. This is probably going to annoy some people, because I know it annoys some of my friends who have a very different writing method to me. And I might add, there's no right and wrong way to write a song. There's no formula. It's creativity. It's however it works for you. For me, most of the time I hear it, so it's like an inspiration. So I'll either hear a riff or a melody, or a line or a chorus, or sometimes I just get the whole song and I just like hear it and embody it and try to. When that happens, if I hear the lyrics, I'll quickly write them down, and just kind of, at that stage, I don't actually think about what I'm writing. I just write exactly what I'm hearing, because you can always go back later. So I just write down what I think I'm hearing, and then I'll grab my guitar and I'll try and find where that melody is. Sometimes I use piano as well. I just find that melody or the root chords that are going to lock into what I'm hearing. And yeah, so that then gets the basic structure of the song. Then I go into the more critiquing stage, so I'll actually read the lyrics, because sometimes the lyrics don't actually make sense, or I have been known to write words that I don't know yet, and I have to look up what they mean, and sometimes I decide to change those words because they don't, you can't sing them as beautifully or shape them in your mouth well, if that makes sense. Yeah, and I'll go in more depth, and I'll be like, oh, well, I feel like this chorus isn't lifting enough, so what can I do here? And that's when I start to work the song a bit more, to either bring out some characteristics or make it just more of an enjoyable experience. And then once I've got that basic structure that I'm happy with, I'll move on to how I would like it to sound as a recording. Because for me, quite often the way that I hear a song come to me will be how the recording should sound not always the stripped back version that I perform live, if that makes sense. And yeah, so I'll then go through, and sometimes I use like GarageBand on my iPad and add beats and little textures and harmonies and, you know, harmonica or whatever else I'm hearing, and do that whole structure of the song to see if I want to record it one day, basically. Because not all songs make it to recordings, and not all songs make it to my live sets. Some of them I feel are not strong enough, and some, I guess, are, you know, they're special. Either, you know, I've written them for a particular person, for that's on a more intimate level and too targeted to be enjoyed by a broad audience, or I fear that it won't be enjoyed by a broad audience. So yeah, I hope that answers the first part. I guess I'll add that I did do, haven't done a lot of collaborative writing, because I find songwriting to be quite a personal process for me. But when I have collaborated with others, like I wrote a song that will be on the new album with Bill Chambers, and how that came about is we just, we agreed we wanted to have a songwriting session and just see if anything manifested. And we were just sitting there talking. So we'd just talk about life. He'd talk about his life, and I'd talk about my life and my friends, and from that we just suddenly, like, he might just get a mood of a topic and do a chord progression, and over that chord progression, or, you know, organically we'll just start messing with words to try to describe what we want to. And yeah, it's I didn't bring my drink bottle. Hey love, could you bring me a drink bottle? Please? Talk so much, my throat's gone dry.
There was something in it.
Yeah.
That's the joke, it was meant to be empty.
Joke's on you.
Yeah.
Alright, now that I've had a drink, where was I with that question? Yeah, I feel like a lot of these questions I'm kind of dropping the ball and not really doing a great job. Hopefully it's interesting for you. So the other part of that question was writer's block. Yes, I think every musician that I know has dealt with writer's block. So what do? For starters, take the pressure off. You can't force it. If the inspiration's not there, it's not there. So I then get connected with my creativity in other ways. So for me, that might be learning a cover song, somebody else's work that I like. Other times I step right away from listening to music, because I feel like if I listen to and play too much of somebody else's music, I'm worried that what I write, or what eventually comes to me, will be too much of their flavour and not enough of who I am and my unique self. So I will do the usual that I do, like horse riding, gardening, bushwalking, anything that gets my creative juices flowing. You know, go for a run, or read a book, or makes it sound like I've got heaps of time, and I don't, I promise. But basically, the creative time that I would usually give myself for rehearsing or songwriting, if it's not happening, then I don't force it, and I just fill it with something else that makes my heart glow and my soul, and just makes me feel hopeful and inspired by life, I guess. And I write it out, and there's a really interesting journey within yourself when you just accept that this isn't happening. It's not happening. The other thing that I have done before, which has been really interesting, is out of one period of time, I can't even remember when it was, because again, like, it's not uncommon to happen, but I hadn't written a song in so long. I'm like, right, I'm broken, that's it, I'm never going to write another song, that's it, all that I've done's behind me. And I went, aha, all that I've done behind me. Now there's a whole bunch of songs that I've started penning and never finished. So then I'll go back and see if I can finish an old song. See if the inspiration's there now to work at it on a different level and carry it on into the future. And that has worked before, and I've ended up with complete songs that I love. So maybe try that. All right. So the final question for this series, or this video. Why did you choose Cole Clark guitars? Oh, this is going to sound very Harry Potter-ish, you know, the one chooses the wizard type thing, but I feel like my first Cole Clark guitar chose me. So I got to a stage where in my playing, where I was like, you know what, I need a good acoustic guitar. I've been playing a piece of plywood for way too long with a giant action on it, and whilst that's made me a strong player, I want something beautiful. And you know, I was an adult and running a business and thought that I should spend some money on a good guitar. So I straight away started shopping for a Maton guitar because of, you know, my one of my idols, John Butler. Loved his tone, loved his music, and went, okay, well, Maton guitar is Australian, it's what John plays, that's where I'm at. So I researched a whole bunch of stores in Perth, which is our nearest city and music stores and stockists, and narrowed down to a particular Maton. Now, I should look up, like I've probably got those notes somewhere because I keep a ridiculous amount of stuff that's not important. I feel like it was like an 80C or something. I don't know. I'll have to try and look it up. I don't think they do those models anymore. I don't know. Obviously, I didn't get that guitar because I went into one of the shops in Perth. Which one was it? Music Park, I think. And they were like, oh yeah, we got Matons. Why do you want a Maton? And I said, you know, that's the sound I'm after. And I'm kind of all for, at that stage, trying to get something Australian made as well, and kind of lowering the carbon footprint on travel and all that kind of stuff. Definitely don't have anything against guitars made worldwide. There's amazing instruments out there. So he was like, well, yeah, we've got them and you can play them. But have you heard of Cole Clark guitars? And I'm like, this was like 2007. So I don't think, I'll have to look up when Cole Clark was established. I've got to fly. I'm so sorry about the buzzing. I'll have to look up when Cole Clark was established, and I'll pop it here. So yeah, 2007 was when I got this guitar, and it was this one in particular. So I played quite a few guitars. I played some Matons, and I played quite a few Cole Clarks as well. But this one here, it was just, this is where I'm going to get all hippie-ish. So they're obviously all amazing guitars, and every single acoustic guitar is different because every single cut of timber and every tree that they come from is different, and the combinations reflect differently, and it's a fascinating world. But it also means that you've got to play a lot of guitars, or sometimes you don't actually. I was going to say you've got to play a lot of guitars to find the one you're after, but this was actually the first that I played, and I kind of went like, oh my God, wow. Like, I felt it resonate all throughout my body. Like, I know it sounds ridiculous, but I felt like it was one with me, and I was just in sync and in love. But also I was like, right, no, you've got to play a lot of guitars to find the right one. So this is obviously nice because you haven't played a guitar this nice before. So get cracking and play a whole bunch of other guitars. And I did. I was there for hours playing all these different guitars. And I just kept coming back. And I'm like, to be honest, there's nothing super fancy. Like, I played some really cool looking ones as well with sunburst finishes or whatever, or really nice fret inlays, and you know, having the thick mother of pearl ones, those big block ones, like potentially does stop a bit of the resonation as well. But the thing was, the heart wants what the heart wants. And this guitar was just, it was just the one. So that was my first Cole Clark, and that's why I went for it. And everywhere that I took the guitar, people were like the same as me. They were like, wow, that is a huge, rich, warm and deep tone for an acoustic guitar. And so naturally, when I needed a second guitar, because I was doing so many different tunings, it's just a lot of strain on the neck to be changing that kind of tension, because I was going from like standard and open E's all the way down to like drop B and things like that, and it's just, it's hard to get a guitar set up when there's that much variation. So I went, right, now it's time to buy another guitar. So basically, naturally, one of my friends had a music store that was retailing Cole Clarks, and I was already in love with them because of this first guitar. So my natural transition was to get another Cole Clark. And yeah, I haven't regretted that. They got a really unique pickup system in it. And I will say, I think there's probably better acoustic guitars acoustically, but plugged in, I reckon you're hard to beat a Cole Clark, especially the latest design, which sounds a lot more like these old ones. They changed the pickup system. This isn't standard in a Cole Clark either, this magnetic pickup. This is a Seymour Duncan mag mic that I add, which I'll run through in another video, I think. But they changed these guitars because under here is the face sensor pickup, and it was attached with a little tiny little aluminium strip, and they were finding that you know, just with these guitars they have to, that strip would come loose. So they changed how they did guitars. They've changed the pickup several times really, but the latest model, which I played when I was in Melbourne earlier this year before COVID locked everything down, they sound a lot more like these ones, but without the worry of the aluminium strip. I've had to have the strip fused twice now, repaired twice, but part of that is because when I do percussion on the guitar, I'm terrible at tapping right where that is as well, and I can't get myself out of the habit because that's part of that particular spot sounds really good. But yeah, I highly recommend Cole Clark. They're a really supportive company. No, I'm not endorsed or sponsored by them. My opinions are completely my own. But yes, they have looked after me really well. Anytime I've gone to the factory and needed help with my guitars, or setup, or I had my guitars plecked as well. They're just a fantastic team. They're very passionate about their work and the guitars. And yeah, I will definitely be getting another one again. I nearly bought another one last year, or yeah, last year. because I was in the factory and played a bunch and fell completely in love with one that was different again from the two, hang on, how many coal clarks do I have? No, I've only got 3. But it was different again from those 3, and I was like, oh, I really want this guitar, but probably don't have the money to spend on this. But anyway, yes, that's how I ended up choosing Cole Clark guitars, and yeah, it might not be everyone's cup of tea, but I am stoked and I love my guitars. So I hope that's successfully answered those questions from people. Thank you for sending them in. I will do another one of these videos, and I promise I will get around to it. So if you have any questions, then you can pop it in the comments below, or you can email me in the email address in the description below, or you can even just private message me on social media. But I'm just thinking, I don't always get the alerts there. But I do remember to go and check occasionally. Oh my god, fly, stop. Yeah, I will get around to checking those spaces eventually, so please stay in touch. Hope you've enjoyed this video, and yeah, the usual, don't forget to like and subscribe because it really helps my channel grow, helps me feel encouraged to keep going, and yeah, and stay connected with you guys. So yeah, thank you very much. I hope this has been enjoyable. Alright, see you guys, bye!